One, yeah. Ethan can read and count. And it is not episode 1, but it is episode 77 of the Three Guys Talking Ball podcast. It is the Jake Long,
No,
Luka
Corey Stringer.
Doncic,
Corey Stringer, rest in peace.
Corey
Shut the
Stringer,
fuck up. It's Corey Stringer.
R.I.P., Jake Long, Taylor Lewan, Trevor Keegan, Corey Stringer.
Who's Trevor Keegan?
He is the left guard for Michigan this year.
Oh,
So he's irrelevant.
John Jansen. Yeah, I mean that's like kind of the that's the usually it's the left tackle Michigan gives 77 to. That's kind of the tradition, but he's a left guard, so there's that. And then now, yeah, we've got the NBA playoffs are underway. Mage won the Kentucky Derby.
who?
To both. It was Mage, Mage. I don't know if I said that right or said it wrong. Our guy Two Phils got second, which isn't bad.
Canterbury's own.
So, yeah, Canterbury's own. That was who. If I were to bet, that's who I would have been betting on. That I would have went with Two Phils because we gotta go with the local horses, and I'm a rider. So you know what? I'm going with. I would have was close, but maybe he's gonna go win the Preakness or Belmont.
That'd be cool.
That would be.
You see how many horses died? At the
Yeah, it was like
Kentucky
7.
Derby? 6 or 7. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I haven't really read a whole lot on it, so I don't really know what the.
They break an ankle.
Well, I know one, I guess, like, fell and broke its leg or slipped getting off, like, onto the track or something, like, fractured its leg, so it had to be euthanized, like, that day.
Yeah. Well, and then one of them, like I think the horse that was favorited to win, like the Friday before on Friday, the horse had to withdraw because it stepped on a rock and hurt its foot.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
So, yeah, it was not the best weekend out at Churchill Downs in Louisville, but that was about it. It was kind of a slow sports weekend. The NBA playoffs have been pretty good, which is nice. The Heat Knicks game is going on right now, and I believe the Heat are up at half. I have it on my iPad right now, but it's at halftime, so I can't remember the score. But the Suns Nuggets is tied up 2-2, and the Lakers by the end of Monday night we will know, and potentially we might have a Eastern Conference or Western Conference Finals team in it, depending on what happens on today and Wednesday. And then the Celtics Sixers is all tied up 2-2, and yeah, so we will see. But guys, how are we feeling about the NBA playoffs right now? How is your pre-playoff predictions looking?
I guess I picked the Suns, I think, to come out of the West, and so they're looking up. They are looking better than what they were, that's for damn sure. 2-2. Booker looks like he's a god out there, and KD just needs to keep doing what he's doing, and I think they'll be fine versus.
I think I saw he missed like 8 shots in games 3, combined like 8 shots in games 3 and 4.
And
Booker,
it's not like he wasn't like. I watched a little bit of the game 4. It's not like he's wide open on 90% of these shots. Like they are tough contested shots.
Contested shots. And I think he was 14 of 19, if I'm not mistaken, the other night.
Yeah,
when he went for like 30.
I'm looking at it right now on Friday.
He went for like 38. 38 last night, I want to say.
Because Friday night in Game 3, he was 20 of 25, and then 20. That's crazy. That's even like crazy to go do that in the gym, like where you're just shooting around, and much less do that in a game.
When you're down,
when you're
down 2-0 in a series without Chris Paul.
Yeah, they're better without Chris Paul.
They are.
And then he was 14 of 18. And then he was 14 of 18 last night.
14 of 18. Damn.
Yeah.
Stupid. When the ball's in KD's hands and Booker can kind of just run off the screens, they're a better team than when Chris Paul's out there trying to run the show.
Well, you could realistically you could trade Chris Paul. You could probably trade Ayton if you want to keep Durant and Booker because those are your guys that are going to carry you and actually get some depth and some bench because that's really the only thing that if you're a Suns fan that has to worry you is as the playoff wears on is the durability because they're not a deep team.
Realistically, what do you think you could get for an aging Chris Paul that's been hurt on and off for probably? I heard a stat about him playing in the playoffs the last 3 years, and it's like insane the amount of games he's missed.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of dumb owners in the NBA, so people will go for it. Like when you can't put it past them.
Or a team.
I could totally see the Lakers and finally get the Hornets trade come full circle.
I could also see a team like the Miami Heat try to do it.
Yeah.
Just someone who's looking for an extra quote unquote star, even though he's not a superstar player anymore. Someone just to sell tickets and on their social media page they can say, hey, we got Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler, and Chris Paul. Don't mess with us down here in South Florida. But to Ethan's point, Miami seems like an arrogant enough organization where they do something like that.
And they would make it work. Everything in their history suggests that they'll find a way to make it work. I would be curious to see. I don't know how him and Jimmy Butler, the two alpha dogs, would see if they would come to a head. But I mean that the Heat, Lakers, the Mavs that would be a disaster. They're just a disaster all around.
Mm-hmm.
But and then I don't maybe would if Ethan the Wolves fan would you want Chris Paul?
No, I'm good.
No, okay.
No, I'd be fine with Mike Conley. He's durable. Obviously Chris Paul's not, and he's not as good as Chris Paul. Don't get me wrong, but I think he fits this team probably better than what Chris Paul would.
Yeah, he's a solid, reliable player. He was. I mean, he had a really good series against Denver. He was really good in the two playing games too. He's just kind of been played in the shadows of other teams because he just hasn't played in big markets. I mean, I don't know if he'd be a Hall of Famer, but I think if he played for a bigger team, if he played for a team like the Lakers, the Heat,
Celtics,
he'd definitely be in the Hall of Fame.
I think a lot of most people are overreacting to this year. Heck, if they have McDaniels and Reed versus the Lakers in the play-in, they'd probably beat them by 20. They didn't even play that great, and they should have beat them. They probably beat Memphis, and they absolutely give Denver a better shot. Do they win? I don't know, but it definitely goes more than 5 games.
Yeah, well, and they wouldn't even play Denver till the conference finals.
Yeah,
if
they would have beat the Lakers,
because they would have been the 7th seed. They would have played Memphis, and Dylan Brooks I heard he was out fishing out in Memphis, and he actually fell out of the boat, and he still missed the water.
That doesn't surprise me.
Nope.
Did you see what they said about him? That under no circumstance he's coming back next year.
Talk about just absolutely burying a guy when he's down.
Right after they offered him like $100 million or something, some lucrative deal earlier in the offseason. Or earlier in the season, I should say.
I mean, like, I'm all for like talking shit and trolling and all that good stuff. But you don't, and believe me, I've taken my fair amount of shots at LeBron over the years. But that's just stupid.
Mm-hmm.
You don't come at the king, and if you do, you best not miss. And he missed a lot.
But here's my thing: talk your shit and do whatever you want. But even
he actually just built a new house with all the bricks he shot in that series.
Well, actually, he probably opened
he's
up
going.
A new masonry company. But
yeah.
But at least after you talk, when you lose, at least say something to the media. Don't just, I'm not here to talk. It's all cool and fun and games when you're talking before the series starts. Nah, he's old. Don't talk about putting 40 up on me until you actually do it. Man, I poke bears, all this other stuff. But then when you get your ass kicked and you shoot 12% from the 3-point line, you at least have to say something to the media afterwards. You just can't cop out and say, "Oh no, I'm fine." Hey, we'll be fine out here in the West. No, you can't do that.
You know who could have used Mike Conley? Is the Grizzlies. They could have used that veteran presence because Conley would have shut that shit down like that. Like, no, we're not talking here. We're just gonna play basketball. We are not good enough to start running our mouths, especially at one of the greatest players of all time.
One thing the Grizzlies should do this offseason, but they won't because they if they do this, they won't sell tickets. They should trade Ja Morant.
But he is Memphis.
In his wish.com version of a dad who looks like Usher.
He has a better chance of shooting a kid than he does winning an NBA title. So, I mean.
And that's a perfect city to shoot a kid in.
Maybe Chris Paul is going to be the answer down there in Memphis.
Yeah. Get all those youngins in line.
Not a chance.
Yeah, we said the same thing about him in Oklahoma City, and he still played there.
Also, I think Chris, though, is at the point in his career where he wants to enjoy his days off in the city where he lives in. I don't see him having a good time in Memphis.
Or bailing his.
Well, he doesn't live in Memphis. He lives on in the burbs.
But you still, what I'm saying, like, what burbs in Memphis, Tennessee?
Yeah, I can't imagine there's a lot.
You know, there can't be a lot.
I'm sure there is. Memphis is a pretty big town.
Yeah, but even if it,
I'm sure there's. Even if it's just like any other place, any other big city. There's going to be nice places. There's going to be shitty places that you don't go to.
Also, it's not Phoenix. It's not Miami. It's not Los Angeles. It's not New York. At this point in his career, that's where Chris wants to be.
Yeah.
You know, you could say the same thing about Minneapolis. Minneapolis is a big city, and there's plenty of stuff to do. But nobody wants to come here. Nobody wants to go to Memphis. Nobody wants to go to Oklahoma City. You know, Chris just wants to hang.
I think Oklahoma City would be a good place where you're just away from everybody. It's quiet. There's plenty of. I know it's one of the bigger cities in Oklahoma, but it's still quiet.
It is the biggest city.
Where you can kind of just be away. It's big enough to where there's people, but it's also small enough probably to where you can build out far enough in the country where you are away from everybody.
You know, Dylan, that sounds good if you're a baseball player, but when you're a 10-plus time NBA All-Star, you don't want to be away from people. You want to be near the people. And I'm guessing Chris Paul wants to be in the big city.
Maybe he could, but I don't know. But yeah, being away from people, that sounds glorious most days.
Sounds like you're living in the perfect spot.
It could be. If I was in the perfect spot, I'd be like, I wouldn't have anybody around my house. I wouldn't have neighbors or anything. It would just be me in my house and maybe a dog. Maybe I'd drive to Minneapolis and go steal Ethan's dog, and he'd live with me.
No,
so he can run free.
Like that. He wouldn't like that.
Oh, he would love it.
He's right here. He would not like that.
We could go on 4-wheeler rides.
He doesn't leave my side.
Okay. Well, just before I take him, until I take him, then he'd leave your side.
He'd be like that dog in Ireland who ran like 47 miles back to its owners after they dropped him off at the pound. Because they didn't. Because
this
like
guy
real life homeward bound.
Yeah.
There's no way. No way.
And what are the odds?
He gets tired after.
What are the odds he wouldn't bite Dylan anyway? I think they're pretty good.
50-50.
Oh,
I think that's more than 50.
Just don't care.
Did he bite you, Grant?
No, he loves me.
No, he likes Grant.
Okay, who did he bite? I thought he bit somebody.
UPS driver. Grandpa.
Oh, that's right. What did it?
He bit a UPS driver?
He barked at the UPS driver.
He chased him down the street. He chased him down
the
street.
That's what it was.
He hates the UPS man. Even if like a truck drives by, he will lose his shit.
But he bit Hannah's grandfather and your brothers, or just howled at your brothers?
That's what it was.
He tried to. He like jumped at him.
Good thing Boone never bit me these last 6 weeks, because with the aspirin I had to take daily, I'd be bleeding everywhere.
Yeah.
I'd be bleeding everywhere.
Yeah, so Grant, let's talk about that. You get to go back to work tomorrow. The knee brace is off.
Knee brace is off.
Now, how's the leg feeling? Are you ready to go and go walk about 10 miles, do 18?
Not a chance.
Is that
Not a chance. If anyone's playing golf, I'm gonna be the passenger princess.
Oh, I'm playing golf. Courses are finally open,
Yep.
so I got in 2 rounds.
I'm gonna be someone's passenger princess. I'll be there to watch where your ball goes, and then if we get on the green, I'll throw a ball in there, and I'll maybe putt a couple in. But no, it feels good to have the brace off. I'm not gonna lie. When I sit down and kind of have my leg close to like a 90-degree angle, there's still some tension in there. That's just something I'm gonna have to work out. But no, it feels good to have the brace off. It feels good to be able to drive again and just kind of go back to some sort of a normal function of a life. Twins game on Friday with Ethan. Let's go, baby.
Yep.
Who are they? Is it Padres
Cubbies.
Cubs.
or Cubs? Oh, that's right. Oh, you guys are going to
Yeah,
this game.
and then
Yep, we're gonna watch them beat the shit out of the Cubs.
and
Fuck
then-
you, Cody Bellinger.
Ethan and I, we're going to another game, I believe.
2 Fridays after.
2 Fridays. That's right. And then I'm going
Toronto.
Who do they play?
Toronto.
Toronto.
Oh,
And then
okay.
I'm seeing the Red Sox in June with a buddy from work.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah, he
gotcha.
called me.
Okay.
So, it just feels good to be out of the house. Even last week, guys, when I still wasn't working, when the weather got nice out here, I took one of my crutch, the walking brace, I put my headphones on,
I remember that.
and just went outside and walked around the neighborhood. Felt felt good. Just getting some fresh air, getting some exercise. The legs were a little sore afterwards because I hadn't used them in a while. But no, it's going to be good. It's going to be needed. It was a long month. I'm not going to lie. The days weren't too bad, but when you're stuck inside, it's not a whole lot on the TV during the day. You read, you read a couple books, but even that, you might only read chapter or two a day, and then you just kind of drags on, and you're stuck inside, and you can't see as many people as you normally would, and it's kind of tough relying on people, but grateful for everyone who did stuff for me, Ethan included. Driving to PT and helping me get some groceries.
Kicked him in the knee. That's exactly
And
what I
he
did.
did kick me in the knee.
Attaboy.
He said it's only a flesh wound. And
You're a little bitch. You just wound up and just plunked it.
But the nice
1 stab, flesh wound, 2 stabs, dead.
the nice part was is the way Ethan kicked me is his foot made contact on the inside of the leg. So when it bent, the outside part actually got stretched. So he didn't hit the non-injured part. So that was nice.
Yep.
That
was smart.
That was nice of him
Oh.
to not be a complete asshole.
Well, that's just very courteous of Ethan.
It was still an asshole move because he did it in the Target parking lot and everybody was laughing at me. And they said crippled.
You probably had it
They
coming.
said cripple down. So that was kind of a
I
bummer.
started poking him with his crutch and said, and like the Peter Griffin laugh.
Who's your daddy?
Or that there was that video of that that guy that was running. There was some type of protest running, or he was getting arrested by the cops, and he gets away, and he looks at the camera and gives it sounded like a Seth Rogen laugh. That was Ethan.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So yeah, we're somewhat back to normal life, but yeah, we'll not be playing 18 anytime soon.
No.
I even was told if I wanted to pick up and do like play pickup ball or tennis, anything like that, that's probably still at least another 6 weeks away, 6 to 8 weeks to resume stuff like that. But I'll be able to get back to the gym now.
There you go.
Probably not.
You can get beat by me in mini putt still.
Oh, it's on, bitch. And let's not forget who won last time. This guy. I won the Dairy Queen.
I choked.
He did. Ethan was up, I think, 2 shots with 2 holes left, and he choked it away. Or he was up a shot.
I did.
Grant was 2 holes away. After 34 to 36 holes, after 34 holes, Grant was getting ready to buy Ethan a Dairy Queen, and
I was getting excited. That cheesecake February was sounding super good.
He must have put his Chris Paul jersey on in the playoffs, and Scott Foster was there.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Scott Foster was behind you guys, and he was the scorekeeper. He was the guy that was supervising the holes, make sure you weren't cheating.
We'll go to the one in Bloomington this time.
Yeah, let's do it.
And it's like fucking hard.
Ugh.
Like at the Mall of America, or
no,
is there a different one?
Oh, it's outside, but it's like it's really fucking hard. Like there's one. It's a double. Like you go up, it's flat, up, it's flat. But then you probably only have like 2 feet of actually like once you get up on the hole, like where the hole is, the flat part there. So if you hit it too hard, it bounces off the back wall, comes all the way back down.
Oh
So like you have to
no.
like play it. Oh, it's a disaster of a hole.
Oh my God.
You just absolutely wreck your round or save it.
Hmm.
Do you guys bring your own putters, or do you just use whatever they have?
No, I am not that. I'm not
I
that
just use
serious.
whatever I have. I mean, shit, when I go to Top Golf, I don't even bring my own clubs. I'm not going to be that guy at a putting range.
No. Actually, I have a
You're not that much of a hardo?
No, but you know what would be funny if I brought Alex putter, because it's it's like a half circle, and then behind the middle one, it's got like 3 different circles. It's just an absolute monstrosity of a putter. It's
one of them huge putters,
yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
those huge Odyssey putters.
Yeah, I know what you're talking. I know what you're talking
And
about.
whenever
Yeah.
we get paired up with someone else and they look at his putter, he goes, "Yeah, I'm compensating for something," and then it breaks the ice, and everyone feels good about that. But yeah, I'm not that guy.
Does it help him putt?
What was that?
Yeah, does it do well?
Does it help him putt?
No.
No.
Tell you what,
I have a coworker's husband who says he's a professional mini putter. Yeah,
How do you become a professional mini putter?
Tournaments.
hey, listen up, my guy. They had a couple weeks ago on ESPN2, they had like a professional bags tournament. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh yeah, the bags people.
They've had those on for quite a few years. Yeah, that's some serious high level stuff right there.
If they got professional bags, shit, there's probably professional mini putt.
Probably is.
I'm sure.
I've actually seen videos of these guys, and like they never hit it straight. Sorry, boom, bumped the computer there. They never hit it straight. They use like angles the entire time, and they make it almost every fucking time. Like it's insane.
It's just a giant geometry class.
Yeah.
Especially, I wonder how nice the greens are on those mini courses, because most of it is just carpet, and it takes half the time it's not well kept either, where it's not like washed, or it has like, if it's outside, you got to deal with the elements and everything.
Yeah.
And it like is like bounces up, and like you just take those weird curves too, where like where you'd have like a makeable putt, it'll all just suddenly just turn right at the end.
The worst mini putt ever is Can Wonderland in St. Paul.
Okay.
It's just
good to know.
It's the most hipster bar I've ever been to. There's like one hole, like literally, you can't not get a hole in one.
Oh, and if you do, you just suck, and you should probably leave.
No, you literally can't. It literally comes right out of like this. It goes like this. I don't know. It's like this big plastic thing with like drums and stuff in it, but like it stays in like the tubes, and all this stuff goes through it, and it literally rolls right out and just pop. It literally like can't miss going in the hole.
Oh well.
It's like the dumbest thing ever.
Just another reason to not go to St. Paul.
Facts.
Yeah.
The only good reason is Barrio, the tequila bar. That's the only good reason to go there.
That doesn't sound like a great reason for me either.
I'm getting sick thinking about that.
I had a tequila old fashioned, and it was fantastic.
What is that?
Oh, it's just an old fashioned made out of tequila.
It's just like an old fashioned with just, instead of whiskey, tequila.
It has a little bit different stuff, but it's basically the same thing. Just a shit ton of tequila with a little bit other stuff.
Are you sure, sir? You were not somewhere in like Mazatlan, Mexico? Like?
Oh no, it was fantastic. You can ask Logan. Logan went there. It's one of Quezzy's favorite places.
Dude, I can only imagine after having, let's say after having 2 of those, you'd look like my buddy Wes in the video I sent you from Bunny's on Sunday morning after Alex's birthday.
Oh yeah. It was.
Oh yeah. How was Alex's birthday? What did you?
Oh, it was a good time.
Where'd you guys all go? Were you guys back? Were you back in Mankato, or were you in the cities still?
We're in the cities. So actually, we've been planning the surprise birthday for this bastard for 2 months now. When I came back from Tampa visiting Caleb in January, my buddy Wes calls and he goes, "Hey Grant, are you around Miller?" I said, "No, I'm out of town actually in the airport. Got about an hour before we board this plane here." And he said, "Oh, cool. We're thinking about throwing Alec a surprise birthday. Let's talk the logistics over." Sure, let's do it. So, no, what we did is we just kind of invited, some friends from, who went to high school with, and then some friends that, we've known that he knows from MSU for these last couple of years, and we all met at our house right here in the cities. And a couple of our friends, they just live about 4 minutes down the road. So what we did was we had everyone park their car at their house, and we had someone just shuttle back and forth when people were there, and then we just parked, my buddy's car, who Alec would know, one block over, and we had them. They walked over. So the ruse was, Alec was at his parents' house in the morning. They're going to come home in the afternoon because they'd have to pick me up. We were going to go to get dinner, and we were going to watch the new Guardians of the Galaxy movie. We had
That's terrible.
we had this dialed in. And by the way, the third
You did.
Guardians movie was okay. It wasn't great. Don't waste your time going to it, people.
Didn't like it. Did not like it.
No, it was. Ethan, would you say it was?
I haven't seen the first
Would you
two.
say it was
so
about 20 minutes too long? 25 minutes too long?
It was just too sci-fi. Like they've gotten so far off.
Yeah.
From like what like the series in Marvel was before, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
no.
But so everyone kind of came over, and we were hanging out upstairs at our place, and then we went to the kitchen area where the carpet is. We all just kind of waited for there. We heard the garage door come in. Alec and his parents came in, and before he got there, we wanted to determine how we were going to say surprise. Was it just surprise, surprise, happy birthday, or surprise, motherfucker, in our best Samuel L. Jackson voice? So you got 8 people come out of nowhere saying surprise, motherfucker, and 3 or 4 people may have pulled a gun and turned it sideways to really make it like Samuel L. Jackson too.
You should have just actually played an actual recording of him saying that, and none of you guys say it, just the recording.
Yeah, you could have just put speakers around the house and had like a playlist or something going on, like surprise, motherfucker, surprise, motherfucker.
So yeah, we just he came over, and God, we got his ass. He was totally surprised. He didn't know what hit him. And then after that, we ordered some pizza and some wings. We hung out here, played a little shuffleboard. And one of my buddy Wes, the main kid who helped set it up, he knew someone with a limo business, so a limo came up, picked us up, and we went to 4 or 5 different bars around the Twin Cities and the neighboring community, and we came back home, and it was a good time.
Was your limo experience better than the one I had when I was 10?
Yes, it was. It was much better.
Yeah.
Yes, our driver
Okay.
was on time.
He wasn't on drugs?
No, he wasn't on drugs. I'm not gonna lie. A few people in the limo were high on some drug. We will not name that drug on recording, but they were higher than a kite. Alcohol was in there. Good music, good times. It was fun. And actually, the first bar we went to was the Punch Bowl Social there in St. Louis Park, where, Dylan, they have adult-sized Jenga, foosball, darts, bowling, shuffleboard. It's like they just have all sorts of different games and such you can play there. We walk in there after the bouncer sees our ID. They frisked us to make sure we didn't have any weapons or anything like that. And with the world we live in today, it's probably not a bad idea. Make sure no one's coming in on a Saturday night to kill 30 people with a gun. But yeah, no, it was a good time all in all. We then just went to a couple other bars after that. And actually, funny story for you guys. One couple, Alec knows from college. They're married. They live in Chaska now, and they have I think they have a son. I don't know if he's 1 yet or if he's like almost 1, but they had a babysitter. But they were able to Uber up to go to the party. Later on in the night, we were kind of on the west side of the metro, and at one point we were like 10, 15 minutes away from their house. So they decide to, let's just go back to our place and we can get a drink and we can hang out here. Well, I was glossed up at this point, and I'm looking around and I'm seeing these townhouses and homes in this neighborhood in Chaska, and I'm thinking, why are we stopping at someone's house to go inside? And they're like, oh, it's Ashley and Brandon's house. Sweet, whatever. So as we walk inside, guys, I kid you not, there's 4 little dogs running around everywhere, and there's, baby gates, so dogs can't go upstairs and dogs can't go downstairs, and there's the 16-year-old babysitter out watching this. And my first mindset is this: why is there a small child out right now? Why is she not in bed? And 2, there's 8 people coming in here all glossed up. How they're going to wake this 1-year-old up, and it's going to be utter pandemonium. And when we get in the kitchen, before I can do anything, Ashley, who owns the house, hands me one of her dogs, says, hold the dog, and here's a McGolden. So out of nowhere, I'm trying to drink this beer and I'm trying to hold this dog, and I have no idea what's going on right now. It was just the darndest thing. But no, it was a good time. We came back. Everyone had a good time, and there's a couple other things I'll tell you guys off camera. But no, it was good. It was a good time.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. Okay, and then Ethan,
What was that, Ethan?
Did you do anything exciting this weekend?
Had a coworker's wedding. It was
Okay.
fun. He's a big Packers fan, so bridesmaids' dresses were yellow, ties were green. All the lights at said wedding were yellow and green. So, of course, I told him he needed to add some purple next time.
Oh, naturally.
And then my store director, bless her heart,
Next
lady,
time I like that.
She goes, well, Mike, congratulations. Hopefully this is your only wedding. And I'm just like, Kayla, what are you talking about? Like, hopefully.
Hopefully this is your only wedding. Damn.
Yeah. But the better part was, like, so ceremony's over, and Dylan, this was like full 100% authentic Catholic wedding. Like, they had communion and everything. So, like, big time.
Was it an hour and a half?
It was about an hour, a little over.
Oh, that's not too bad then.
It wasn't terrible. We're outside waiting after the mass, whatever. We're all just talking. Some people from work, and I'm like, "Is it an open bar?" And my store director, who doesn't drink, goes, "Opens at 4:30 according to the invite." I was like, yeah, great. That's great. No clue. But other than that, no. Hung out Sunday for a little bit. Did nothing really too crazy. Hung out with Mr. Boone, who's over here cuddling on his Twins blanket. He's as big a Twins fan as I am now, which is great.
Nice.
Good. Have you made it out on the golf course on the links at all yet this year?
We haven't had any time, honestly. I think not this coming Sunday, but the Sunday after, I think we're going to be heading out there.
So Mother's Day?
Okay.
No, it'd be the weekend after Mother's Day.
Mother's Day's this Sunday, isn't it?
Yeah.
Holy shit, that's coming up quick.
Yeah. So
yeah, have you guys gotten Mother's Day presents yet?
I am the Mother's Day gift. I made her a mom. I'm the oldest.
Oh, that's true.
Same with you, Dylan.
That's a little selfish.
I guess that'll be mine. I suppose that's my present.
I have not gotten anything yet, but it is in the works.
I might get my mom a shirt.
Oh, good. So we're all in the same boat then.
I might get her a shirt that says my husband.
We're men. What do you expect?
I might get her a shirt that says my husband is an idiot. That's about it. That's about it.
Might get her a shirt that talks about what does she love? Not margarita, daiquiris. I might get her a shirt that talks about daiquiris.
Oh, there you go.
Being that
it's a good call. Yeah, I
was just gonna.
Something that it kind of snuck up on us too, because also this weekend NDSU has their graduation. Macy's graduating on Saturday, so we'll have.
Yikes!
What's that?
Dude, I feel like we graduated on Mother's Day weekend.
We definitely.
No, we were the week before. Because
NDSU always seems to be a week behind though everyone else in terms of graduation.
Because all the public schools in North Dakota graduations this weekend.
Oh wow.
So, yeah.
The more you know.
Yeah, these kids these days, they have it so much easier. They don't go to school. They go to school. Their weeks, I think, are shorter. We had to go to school uphill both ways. We didn't have books. We had tablet and stone to take notes on. These kids have it easy.
I had a tablet at school, like an actual tablet. So I don't know. I can't really have comment on that one.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
But okay, well then, guys, should we we teased this earlier in the year, talking about doing a book club and picking a book out that we're all going to read and discuss. And guys, the time is now. So can we get a drum roll going, please?
Penis.
Penis.
And the book that we are all doing as part of the Three Guys Talking Ball book club is History of Heartbreak by Dan Whenesota. Now this book, Dan reached out to me on Twitter about his newest book. It's called A Slapshot in Time, about the now defunct St. Paul Saints, which is a great book. I've already read it. The plan is we've already read the first 2 chapters here, so we are going to read it. When we post this, we will be dropping the link for our book club to if you guys want to follow along with us as well. So we've read the first 2 chapters now, and the way you guys have gotten the first 2 chapters done too?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is set up with Dan Barrero did the forward, and it actually starts off, instead of going backwards, he starts off right away. It's called the Dirty Dozen in chapter 1, and these are the top 12 heartbreaking moments in Minnesota sports history. And and most people who listen are Minnesota fans, so there's the top 12, which is a very interesting list. Now, so number 12, guys, which is just kind of Minnesota sports in a nutshell, I think, is the first overall draft pick eludes the Wolves for 26 years. And that's one point they've only been in the league since 93. And they got their first pick in, what is it, 14 when they took Karl Anthony Towns. Is that correct?
2015.
Yeah, 2015.
Or 20, or yeah, 14, 15. But yeah, so it's still just baffling.
The craziest stat for that one was their first 30 drafts. The lottery never helped them move up, not a single
time.
Yeah, exactly. That was my thing too. I was looking for.
Like, you cannot tell me it's not rigged. Like, oh, Cleveland loses LeBron. Oh, wait, we're going to get Kyrie instead.
Chicago has a 1.1% chance to get Derrick Rose, the hometown kid, and they get him.
It's totally rigged. Totally.
I mean, come on now.
You can't tell me it's not. 30 years of not moving up, that's fucking horse shit.
That is absolutely crazy to me.
The fact that you're fucking... You didn't make the playoffs 30 times is even more amazing, to be honest, though.
Yeah.
Well, and it's sad when you realize that they're the worst team in NBA history in terms of winning percentage.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and then number 11 is the Eagles. The Eagles beat the Vikings in the NFC Championship game. This was in the 2017 season, happened in 2018. Coming off the Minneapolis Miracle. Everybody was riding high. You know, the Eagles, they were down to a backup quarterback. Carson Wentz was having an MVP season.
They barely beat the Falcons the week before.
Yep. And then the Vikings, they get the ball to start the game. They go right down the field, score a touchdown, go up 7-0. Everybody's feeling good. The juices are flowing. The grain belts are tasting phenomenal. If we're going to make it a Minnesota sports, got to have a local Minnesota beer with it. And then the route was on, and then it wasn't. And even the one Vikings fan, how were you feeling going into that game? What was kind of your mood that day? Were you?
Oh, I was nervous as fuck. I get we had our whole minor Minneapolis Miracle stuff, but the Minnesotan fans still kicked in. Like, you still knew you were going to get kicked in the nuts some way or another, and just a repeated effort to break your nuts that whole game. Outside the first drive.
Dylan, to Ethan's point. Everyone I talked to that week said they were nervous. They felt the letdown coming. I
think Barrero summed it up perfect. Mm-hmm. I was not a hopeful fan. Like, you got your magic in the NFC divisional round, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, that was it. That was the big one, and now you're fucked.
Well, and even like Ross, when we had Ross on, and we talked about this game, Grant, that he said that, he was like, I just knew this season was going to end. I didn't think we were going to make it. And then they go down and score. Keenum hits Rudolph to go up 7-0. And Ross says, we're going to do this, guys. We're going to the Super Bowl. And then after that, the Eagles score 38 straight points.
If I'm not mistaken, though, did they only get a field goal on their first drive, or did they had to punt? Because they didn't get off to a hot start. And then
I think they punted.
Yeah, it was
they punted, and then the Vikings were actually moving the ball down the field, and then
Barnett hit Keenum's hand.
Yeah,
because they did what Philadelphia in their last two NFC Championship games have changed the game on the same play. They don't block the backside defensive end. They try to roll your quarterback out. The tight end can't block them and absolutely obliterates your quarterback.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well, and then going on to number 10, the baseball votes to contract the Twins, which means to eliminate a franchise. What's that?
I never knew this happened.
I remember, because I remember around that same time too that there was talk of the CBA, there was talk of a strike around that time as well. I don't remember. I knew the stadium was always a big deal, but I didn't know that it got to a point where they were looking to eliminate the franchise. But we'll go on to the Gophers men's, number 9. The Gophers men's basketball program is caught cheating. In 97, they made it to the Final Four, and but theoretically they didn't, because the banners at the barn have been taken down. But
so here's my question.
Shouldn't have been.
I have one thing to say about this. If I was the AD, I'd throw it back up and say "fuck you" to the NCAA. What are you going to do?
Here's my question. So North Carolina can have their students and student athletes take fake classes in African American histories, fake classes, and they don't have to lose their Final Fours or their scholarships or there anything else like that. Just like the NBA draft lottery, it's rigged for the big programs. And sure, the only thing that Carolina got lucky away was it was a whole institution that they were doing these fake classes for. But come on, you take all those wins away from Roy and that program. That's some nonsense right there. Stop favoring these blue bloods.
Ooh, you might get kicked out of your house if Alex listening.
Oh no, he agrees with me. He is.
Oh,
he is
okay.
100%. That's the one thing he can't stand with that university is they let these guys get away with that and take these fake classes. But it makes sense because his dad worked in education for 40 years and actually takes pride in a 4-year degree. So yeah, I'm not going to catch any heat in this household for that.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, that learn something new every day. Mm-hmm. And then number 8, Kirby Puckett retires due to loss of vision. That was in July of 96.
I thought this was a little.
Kirby Puckett is a
little low.
I thought so too.
I thought
this
it was
is
low.
like Joe Mauer retiring.
If not higher. The way this city rallied around Kirby and what he meant when he played. I thought this was a little low.
Yeah, I mean he was. Yeah, and it's someone he's synonymous because he's the guy that won the Twins their 2 World Series. He was also he made the All-Star game 10 times out of a 12-year career, which is incredible.
Yeah.
And especially in a time too where you look at the Twins 87, 91 when they won the World Series, and then there's just no playoff appearances at all. But you go look at their records, they were consistently competing, but the problem was they only took 2 teams in each in each league in the AL and NL back then.
That's crazy.
Well, and then also like what he said before Game 6 when he told the team, "Get on my back," and then he has the catch and he hits the home run. I thought Kirby was a little low here on this list for the top 12 heartbreaks.
Agreed.
Yeah, and Dan writes it in his note in the Dan's notes section too, where he talks about this was a where were you when moment when Kirby retired, because watching the press conference, and so that is interesting that it was only number 8.
But also
and then number 7.
But Dylan, that's the fun part. Dan also said is most of these debates and these rankings, they cause extra debates anyway. That's kind of the fun part of doing this.
And then number 7, the North Stars lose the Stanley Cup Finals in 81. And we were not alive in 81, but the North Stars were the team before the Wild, And I don't know, did you guys find anything interesting about it?
I thought it was probably too high. It sounds like they were underdogs the entire time. Like they basically they played great in the first couple rounds, obviously to get to the finals, but then you lose to the back-to-back champ, and was it, I think 4 out of 5 years or something the Islanders won.
It was 4 in a row in the early 80s.
Yeah, it was just nuts. Yeah, so it's like they weren't supposed to win anyway. So why is it that big of a heartbreak? Like I don't agree with it as much.
Because they made it to the championship probably, but I get your point. That I think that's the only reason why. But
didn't they only win like 35 games in the regular season? They had a major losing record.
They had a losing record.
No, that was in 91.
91, okay.
That was in 91 when they were 27, 39, and 14.
That's right.
And because the NHL's like swapped the way they set up the playoffs like a few times, because it used to be seeded way back when like 1 through 16, and then it changed to like you'd play teams in the division, and then they did it like 1 through 8. Now it's whatever it is now.
That's the dumbest thing ever.
Something fucking stupid now.
Yeah. And I mean they lost 4-1, or no, they 4-2, and in their last game, in Game 6, they were blanked 8-0.
Yeah,
but
was this the Islanders? Was this their second or their first title? Where was this in the run of 4?
This
again.
No, we're in 7.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was that?
Yeah, second in a row.
Okay, second in a row.
Well, and I was on 7B too. I was looking at that when they lost to Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah.
And then I think in chapter 2 there was another season where they got pretty far, and they beat 2 teams. They I think all 3 of their conference, or no, I'm thinking of we'll get into that one, but then
that one's coming up next.
Going on to number 6. This is the Drew Pearson alleged push-off to end the Vikings season in the divisional round. The Vikings won. Vikings were up 14-10 with 44 seconds left, and Dallas had the ball. This was what Roger Staubach said, a Hail Mary before he threw it, and it was answered. That's how the term Hail Mary came about on a last play of the game toss. Cowboys won 17-14, in which this was a team that most people predict of all the Vikings teams, dominant teams they had in the 70s. They thought this was the best team out of all the ones that made it to the Super Bowl the previous years, and then the Cowboys crushed their dreams.
Yeah, the refs swallowed the whistle, but the Cowboys didn't win the Super Bowl, so you know what? Karma still.
They did not.
Ball don't lie.
Yep.
They did not. Probably some karma, poetic justice, whatever you want to call it. And then number 5.
About the refs. That's fantastic.
I saw that too. And then in number 5, the also involving the Cowboys. The Cowboys traded Herschel Walker to the Vikings. We weren't alive for this one. I remember my dad telling me about it when the Vikings traded for him, and the Vikings sold the farm to get him. That, his first game, it looked like he was everything that what they traded for. He went out and rushed for.
It was 148?
149.
Yeah, it was 148, and he ran out of his shoe, and then that was his really only good game he ever had for the Vikings.
Like, that GM should have been crucified for that trade. Like 3 first-round picks. Like, what in the fuck?
Well, and a couple second-round picks too.
Yeah, a third too. Like, what in God's name?
Well, it's
well, here's 3 of the players Dallas got for him. They got Emmitt Smith, Russell Maryland, and Darren Woodson, all 3 Hall of Famers.
Well, and guys, you know what's crazy about this trade? I don't know if this was true or not, but apparently in 2010, 2008 to 2010, when the Vikings were attempting to work with the NFL to get a new stadium up here, what is now US Bank Stadium, Jerry Jones was more than friendly with Ziggy Wilf, because to this day he still credits for what the Vikings brass did back then for his 3 Super Bowls.
Oh, I'm sure he fucking does.
Yep.
He should.
Yeah. So even though Ziggy had nothing to do with it, and Jerry just bought the team, and it's Jimmy Johnson's Super Bowls and not Jerry Jones's Super Bowls, he was going to help Ziggy out with the NFL because he made The Minnesota Vikings made Jerry Jones a $5 billion man with all these Super Bowls.
Correct. And then going on to number 4, Norm Green still sucks. If you don't know who he was the owner of the Minnesota North Stars who moved the team to Dallas, and he sold them a few years later.
Well, no, yeah, shit, because they had such that bad.
That Metropolitan Sports Facilities Commission just totally fucked them.
Yeah, they wanted to keep the Twins, but didn't want to keep the North Stars.
Yeah,
and then
in the state of hockey, what are you thinking?
And then God bless.
You did with 2 owners.
God bless Lou Nanne for trying to keep the team, but then the NHL says you need to find an owner. What? Like, I don't know how many. You know how many people on my contact list are billionaires and can buy a sports franchise? When I call them and say, "Hey, you remember that favor I did for you 5 years ago? Time for you to pay up now. Come here, John Dutton, buy this fucking team."
He literally sold San Jose to the old owners and got a new one. Like, Lou Nanne's a fucking legend.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and then he merged the team from Cleveland too, to get him to come.
Yeah. Just
the
stupidness by that committee. Like, what a bunch of fucking idiots. They wasted so much money because so much more expensive to start the new franchise than to keep paying for a new fucking
team.
Oh my god.
I know that was the part that just kept coming back to me. Is like you could have just built a new one.
You wasted hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah. And then going on to 3A, this was in 1970. The Vikings lose Super Bowl 4 to the Chiefs. I did not know this, but they were 12-point favorites going into this game.
Yeah, NFL versus AFL, yeah.
Yep. And
is this the last NFL AFL Super Bowl?
Correct.
Right?
Yes. Yep, it was. And the Chiefs defense included some former Gophers, Bobby Bell,
Hall of Famer, I think.
Yep. And then the Vikings quarterback Joe Kapp said that the Chiefs defense looked like a redwood forest. And it was that was the Chiefs' first Super Bowl, and they're only won until 2020. And then the next 2 years,
Well,
yeah, because they were also in Super Bowl 1 against the Packers.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, no, but that was the Chiefs' first Super Bowl win since then.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then 3B is what they have is the Vikings lose Super Bowl 8. And that was when they lost to the Dolphins. And I believe that was the Dolphins coming off their undefeated season.
Yeah, because
it was Super Bowl 74, so it was the 73 year.
If I'm not mistaken, they went 3 years in a row, but lost their first one, right? It said in the book the Dolphins,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and the Vikings, it just seemed like they just couldn't get out of their own way, and that was a recurring theme I think in their Super Bowls is they just could not get out of their own way, where they just had so many unlikely turnovers that plagued them, and they just couldn't make up for it.
So if they had Iowa Hawkeyes luck with their defensive scores, they would have won.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then we're on to 3C. The Vikings lose Super Bowl 9. This one was to the Steelers, and I think this was their closest. This was the closest they came to it.
Didn't they really fumble the bag in this one?
Yeah.
Because 3 or 4 interceptions, turnovers in the red zone.
Yeah, Tarkenton was just terrible.
He was just bad.
Dave Osborne, they had a fumble that went into the end zone that the Steelers recovered, or it was a safety. It was a safety.
21 carries.
Yeah,
the Vikings did.
And it was because it was a 9-6 game. Minnesota was down 9-6 with 11 minutes to go, and then the Steelers went on a 7-minute drive that ended in a Larry Brown touchdown from Terry Bradshaw and then on the next Minnesota possession, Fran was intercepted for the third time and ended the game 16-6.
Not great.
No, and that was what started the Steel Curtain dynasty. And then 3D
absolutely shit stomped them.
Yep. This one was not close. They had two pick sixes. This is the famous Old Man Willie game.
429 yards total offense at the time, and a record.
Yep. Yep. And Bud Grant, all he says is we played them on the wrong day. No, you're right there, Bud.
Yep.
You got your ass whipped.
Yep. And this is where Dan jokes that he still has the Chuck Foreman jersey that he wore as a kid, and he blames his parents for making him a Minnesota sports fan.
I feel that, Dan.
Yep. And and then number 2 is we kick it back to modern times. And this one I think all of us remember was the 2009 season. Brett Favre was the quarterback for the Vikings. They have to go down to the Superdome, and they lose to the Saints. And this one, I found myself cheering for the Vikings. I bet you Grant probably did too. And just similar to what cost them in the Super Bowl is just untimely turnovers and just could not get out of their own way.
This was probably, I think, pretty easily the hardest one on this whole 12th item list. But
easily.
I actually cried on this one. I did have tears come down my face. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to be here and not be a man and say I didn't cry. But they would have absolutely throttled the Colts in the Super Bowl.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yes, I agree.
They would have throttled the Saints in this game had they not had 5 turnovers and 3 of them in the red zone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you look at like in the regular season, they lost to, I believe, Carolina on the road. They lost to Arizona on the road. They lost a couple of games. The Bears, Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
there were a couple of games.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was a pick and then there was a fumble on the goal line that the Steelers ran all the way back to, I believe.
I don't remember.
If my memory serves me right.
But yeah, they absolutely should have won that game, and they would have beat them by 20 in the Super Bowl.
Well, and guys, you know what's also crazy? Before the penalty for the 12 men, were the Vikings, they were on the 33, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So if they don't gain a yard, that's a 51-yard field goal. That 5-yard penalty makes it a 55 or a 56-yarder. In today's NFL, kickers are easy. 12 years ago.
Longwell was old as shit at that point, too.
That's true. So maybe, a young Robbie Gould probably would have been able to just absolutely nail it. But the way that kickers have gone these days, we're in a 55-yarder, it's a long kick, but we know there's going to be plenty of leg to get there.
Yeah. Well, like the worst call in that game wasn't even like their shitty hits by the Saints. It was literally in the overtime.
The pass interference.
He didn't even touch him.
That was such a bad call.
Yeah.
It's just terrible.
Or the Pierre Thomas on the 4th and 1, where he gets it and then he drops the ball and he goes behind the first down line and they still give him the first down.
Yeah. Just awful officiating that game.
Well, that and then on the interception too, where it looked like Brett could have ran 5 or 6 yards to get closer, and he decides to throw across his body.
Well, he could have got those penalty yards back.
Yeah,
at least.
Exactly.
Just run, go down, good. You're literally going to Miami.
Yeah, and to your point, just absolutely throttling Peyton Manning and the Colts that day.
Yeah, they would have been fucked.
Well, because they played in the preseason that year, the Vikings and Colts. I remember this because I was on vacation at the time. I think somewhere in northern Minnesota, and the Vikings D line had like 3 sacks in 3 plays. Like the Colts, they could. It's the preseason.
Williams, Wall, Jared Allen,
and then Ray Edwards. I mean, it's the preseason, but still, like for that one series, Manning was flustered because he probably wanted to go out and have a good drive. Probably 7 to 10 plays, get some momentum going, and nothing.
No, you get fucked 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that sucked. That definitely is still pain.
And then to round out the list of the Dirty Dozen and the number 1 most heartbreaking moment in Minnesota sports history, which it probably is hard because all of these are very good ones, but to most people, and this is when this is still maybe a little bit young for us. This was January, so this was the day after my 4th birthday. The 98 NFC Championship game, Vikings versus Atlanta. The Vikings were 15-1 going into that year. They were up 20-7 late in the second quarter, and they decided.
Second quarter. Sorry.
Yeah.
20-7, and they could have chose to kneel it out, and I believe there was a fumble or an interception or something where the Falcons scored to make it 2014 at halftime, and the Vikings score to make it 27-14, and they don't score again, and the Vikings they go on a long drive, and they send out their kicker who hadn't missed a kick in 2 years, and we talked earlier with Ryan Longwell, 55 yards is a long kick. This is makeable for anybody, a 38-yard kick, wide to the left, shanks it. And I don't know how much you guys remember this game, but I remember my dad coming up to me and saying, D hasn't missed a kick in 2 years, and he missed this one. The Vikings could have went to the Super Bowl.
I don't remember the game itself, but I do remember like later on my dad saying this was like one of the darkest days of his entire life. So I mean,
my high school football coach, guys, would have been a high school kid at the time, gosh, or maybe a senior in high school, freshman in college. He, after that game, said he sat in his seat in the Metrodome for 2 hours and didn't leave. He was just in awe that they lost this game and that it happened again.
Yeah, that sounds about right, because I feel like I remember somebody who was also there that game telling me that when Gary went out to go kick that field goal, fans were chanting Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl, because they just like, there's no way he's going to miss this. And then, of course, in Dan's notes, too, he writes, he talks about how he joked with his friends. What if Gary Anderson misses one? Not sure why. And all of a sudden, yeah, it came true. And, yeah, the Vikings still. And that's another one, too, where I think that Super Bowl, that game was not even close. The Broncos dominated them.
The Vikings would have done that.
I think when you look at, I think that's like one of the biggest what if Super Bowls. You look at, I think that one, and then in '85 when the Patriots upset the Dolphins in the AFC Championship. I think this Vikings team versus that Broncos team, who was the defending champions, they only lost 2 games all year. But the other part about that Atlanta team that it doesn't get talked about enough, they were 14-2 that year, because talent wise Minnesota was much better, but to go 14-2, people talked like they were like a 9-7 team that just barely squeaked by. But I mean, really Atlanta in their own right was a solid team. What's that?
It really shows you how good the Vikings were that year, actually.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and guys,
because I can't remember.
I remember seeing something a couple years ago on NFL Network. They were talking about the San Francisco 49ers that year, who Atlanta played in the divisional round in Atlanta, and Garrison Hurst got injured in the first quarter of that game. And people in the Bay thought that had Garrison Hurst not been injured, they would have beaten the Falcons, and the Vikings would have played the Niners in the NFC Championship game that year. So even
and they beat the Niners pretty handily that year too in the regular season.
I think so, because I think that's when the Falcons were still in the NFC West. So they had to play the Falcons twice. Yeah, it was real messed up. Like Dion's time, they were in the NFC West. It didn't make any sense. But I remember at least people in San Francisco thought they had the confidence that had Garrison not gotten hurt, the Vikings would have been playing the Niners for that title game and not the Falcons.
The 49ers are a lot like Dallas fans. They really like to pop their head and everything, make it look good, when really they're just irrelevant. So I'll take it.
And that's more than
Cowboys
that's
suck.
more than fair.
Yeah, fuck them. Yeah. Who is the stupid star at the moment?
The Stars. You're just you should be thanking me thanking Cowboys fans because they got you a new stadium. Without it, who knows? The Vikings might be playing in London right now.
You know what? Fuck them. I'll be a Lions fan.
The first time I've ever heard anyone in my life say they're going to jump on the Lions bandwagon.
Hey, I said earlier a couple weeks ago, maybe even last week, I said if the Vikings moved,
he did.
I was going to say I was a Lions fan.
You did say that. That is true. But yeah, the Falcons beat the Niners 20-18 that game.
Okay.
in the divisional round. And then the Vikings beat the Cardinals 41-21.
Yeah, they just drubbed them. But another
So
thing
what do we
that's,
all
but-
covered on chapter 2?
I was just going to say, the fact that
What
the Vikings took a knee at the end of regulation has to piss people off. Throw it up to Moss.
Yeah, especially with that offense. Yeah.
Throw it up to Moss. Chris Carter,
Exactly.
Jake Reed, let him make a play.
Well, and you also when the Vikings had to settle for a field goal, one of the drives, I want to say it was right before half, where Moss was wide open and he had a drop.
Mm.
They would have scored a touchdown.
Okay.
But yeah. So now we're on to chapter 2. This is skating on thin ice. So this is the hockey's heartbreaks as well. So this is the Fighting Saints WHA team quits in an airport lobby.
This is awesome.
This was
incredible.
And this is in Dan's other book that he just wrote that just came out, A Slapshot in Time. They talk more about it, how because they played at and go if you want a story like this team is loosely based the movie Slapshot is loosely based off this team. The Carlson brothers played for the St. Paul Saints. And that's who the Hanson brothers in Slapshot was based off of. But yeah, they quit in an airport lobby because they haven't been paid in they've missed their last 3 paychecks.
Well, only half the team was in the airport lobby.
Yeah, everyone else just stayed home.
Everyone else stayed home and said, "I'm done."
Yep. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's the original Lane Kiffin tarmac, except they said screw you on your plane. I'm not getting on your plane. We're done.
Well, the amazing thing is this: the first owner of the North Stars, I guess he eventually took over the North Stars. He was the owner of the team that merged with the North Stars because of this whole fiasco.
Yeah.
The gun.
It's like the start of the fucking downward fall here.
The start of the demise from Minnesota hockey to Dallas.
Yeah.
And then Edmonton sweeps the North Stars in the conference finals. This is the Oilers had some guy named Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky. Do you guys know who he is?
He's not too bad.
And
they had 4 Hall of Famers on 5 Hall of Famers on that team.
Yeah.
Glenn Anderson, Paul Coffey, Grant Furr, Gretzky, Jari Kurri, Mark Messier, and Coach Glenn Sather.
I mean, and they scored 400
Seven
goals.
seven Hall of Famers.
And
Seven.
They scored 400 goals.
Gretzky had 87 goals himself.
But then the team also scored over 400. 5 of the 10 years in the 80s.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah, and then in '88, Gretzky had more goals than the North Stars top player had points. He had 86.
That's why they call him the Great One.
Yeah.
And this one was where it felt like they said this one hurts is because it felt like they were a team of destiny because they. The North Stars they won the North Division or Norris Division, not North. They beat the Blackhawks 3-2. They beat the Blues 4-3. In that game they won in an overtime thriller in Game 7. And it felt like they were the way it's written is they felt like they were the team of destiny and that they were gonna go challenge Edmonton, and then they got swept and they had. The Mets, they scored 5 goals in the second period, and then the Oilers go and score 5 in the third and lose 5. Oh God!
Well, and guys,
what's
crazy is this also, and so the '83 draft. So the summer before this season started, the North Stars had the first pick, and their player Brian Lawton had 266 career points.
I saw this.
The 3 Hall of Famers after them they could have drafted that they missed on: Steve Yzerman, Pat LaFontaine, and Cam Neely. Yzerman with 1,700 points in his NHL career. LaFontaine with over 1,000. That's Minnesota luck right there. Passing up on 3 Hall of Famers.
God. Lou Nanny had some good ideas. That wasn't one of them.
That was not one of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I hope.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They got it in a trade.
The next one.
And then the next one. This one's just kind of funny.
Chapters.
This is this is seems like this is Dino Ciccarelli runs into some legal trouble here,
It's just
and
ridiculous.
he did this in his
What the fuck is
he did this in his Eden Prairie home, but it sounds like something you would see at a dope house in St. Paul, and
What
but
the fuck?
he was and he's considered one of the top players in North Star's history, if not the best, they say. And there's photos of him in his front yard wearing his sweatshirt and nothing else.
Taking a piss.
Hey, you think he just got done having some intimate time with the wife, and he wanted to go out to get the newspaper? He put a
Yeah, they just have a smoke, just
yeah, he put a sweatshirt on, forget to put his drawers on.
God.
Yeah. And he had a rough year in 87 to 88 where he swung his stick at a Maple Leafs Luke Richardson in the head and neck. Then he argued he was small and wasn't a good fighter. He was actually the first NHL player to ever be charged while on the ice, and had a $1,000 fine. Had to go back to Canada.
He had to take a day in jail.
Yep. And he got a 10-game suspension, and the North Stars had one of their worst seasons in their franchise's history, going 1948-13.
That's really hard to do.
Oh, that's bad.
And nobody picked him up in jail in 1988. He had to go to the hotel with a reporter.
That's awesome.
Then
he gets traded and goes
but
to
he is he also is a Hall of Famer though. So you know what? Credit to him.
They got that one right.
And then Herb Brooks was fired after a season with the North Star. This just seemed like he was also part of that season with Ciccarelli. He was the coach at the time, and it was just a rough year. Minnesota's own, their golden boy, just didn't work out.
How did he die? It said it happened abruptly.
Car accident.
He died a car crash. He died like a month before the movie Miracle was released.
Okay.
And then the North Stars play their final home game. They lost, and they still had a shot to get to the playoffs. They lost that as well.
That's Minnesota right there. You look a chance to get in the playoffs. Win one of your last two games. Your final game before you go to Dallas, you lose at home to Chicago 3-2. Go on the road. Can't beat the Red Wings 5-3. Eliminated.
And then and then this is just sticking their nose. The Stars owner just sticking their noses up where Dallas is playing an exhibition game at Target Center. Nobody.
It sounds like this is actually like the NHL's idea to kind of test the waters to see what they were like up here. Like, the fuck do you think's gonna happen?
Yeah, and there some owner might think, oh, let's buy a second team and move to Minnesota based on these fans are. Yeah, do that, but not with the team that just left you.
Yeah, like good God, not even 6 months.
And then it's set up too for that. Then it's set up for that same year where they go on to win the Stanley Cup in '99, and that had to be a rough year in Minnesota sports, because that was the same year the Vikings were 15-1 and lost to the Falcons, and then their beloved Stars go on to go win the Stanley Cup in a different building.
Well, and even before that, they made the playoffs for the first 5 years in Dallas, right?
Yeah, they had a
good
team.
They were a solid team, I think. Like Mike Madonna, like they were. I think they were a pretty solid team before they left. It was just they could never figure out what they were going to do with the stadium, which has been a common theme in Minnesota sports.
Fuck you, Metropolitan Compliance people. Fuck you.
So they want to keep the Twins, but they let the North Stars go.
Yeah.
Yeah, this place went to the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and then Dan, we'll have to ask him when he comes on with us that he found an old Stars jersey in one of his wife's closet that she had before they were married. He said they're still working through it. And this book I believe came out in, I don't even, where does it say? It's got to be on here somewhere. 2020. It came out in 2020, it says.
Okay.
So this is 3 years. Hopefully they've been able to work it out. And then in 2003, when the Wild finally get a team, the Wild's first season was in 2000, and they get hot. They have 2 7-game series in the first round and then in the second round, and they both go 7 games, and then they go to play the Mighty Ducks in the Western Conference Finals, and they score 1 goal.
That's hard to do.
1 goal in the entire Western Conference Finals.
You can't make it up.
And they lose. Like, I read that and I'm like, I had to double take. Like, they scored 1 goal the entire series.
Well, guys,
why did they ever change the Mighty Ducks name though? That's so.
I was going to say
it's
the worst name change in sports history. To get rid of that name and get rid of that sweater.
It's worse than the fucking Sioux.
Awful.
Yeah, it's worse than the Sioux.
Yep. And Grant, you're our hockey czar of the podcast here. Do you remember much about this series?
I just remember watching it thinking, it's not fair how good John Sebastian Jaguar is playing right now. Like, he was on his head to a whole different level. Because the Wild had plenty of opportunities. I remember watching this as a kid. He must have made a deal with the devil, which in return is why they lost that next series to the Devils, because they could get to the cup but they couldn't win it. It was just unbelievable how good he played, and just the Wild they just couldn't get anything past him. They had plenty of opportunities. He was seeing everything. It's something we're never going to see again. Just how good he was that series.
And then he met his match on the other goal in the Stanley Cup by Uncle Daddy.
Yes.
Have you heard that story?
I might need a refresher.
Marty Brodeur.
I need a refresher, actually.
So apparently he was whoever his wife at the time was. It would have been he was also sleeping with his sister-in-law.
Oh shit!
I think, and he apparently had a kid with it, and like that was a chant when he would go on the road. I guess they'd start chanting "Uncle Daddy."
God, that's fantastic.
Just because there's a goalie doesn't mean you can't score.
Just because you can't score.
And then to round out chapter 2 and hockey heartbreak in Minnesota was the Parise and Suter contracts that did not turn out as they planned. They both signed identical 13-year, $98 million contracts. Parise, his dad played for the North Stars. He was a local legend. Suter, his dad won gold on that 1980 Olympics team.
Was it his dad or his uncle?
And it was his uncle. That's right. Maybe, yeah. And it just kind of put them in salary cap hell where they weren't able to get out of it or sign some better role players to help them get over the hump. They won 2 series with those 2 on the roster and just didn't quite work out. But they did give us an incredible series in 2014 with the Wild Avs. I remember watching that game in the dorm room, and there was pandemonium. Everybody was watching it in different rooms, and when they scored on that breakaway to win, all you could hear is just, and I think it was during finals week too, everybody just went nuts.
Like, what idiot of a GM, though, agrees to a deal where, say they retire abruptly, you still owe them money, and it still counts against the cap? Like, what a fucking idiot.
This GM messed this up so bad, the NHL had to make a new rule.
Yes,
because
8
of him.
years max.
8 years for your current team, 7 for the new team. What?
Like, what an idiot.
They made a new rule, a new policy based off of your fuck up.
Because you suck so bad at your job.
And it's even to this day, the Wild are still having troubles with those 2 contracts.
Yeah.
Which is why their GM's, their GM, Billy G's getting questioned stuff all the time. And, when Russo's coming at him, he goes, Russo, I can't penalize young men on this team who had nothing to do with this contract. Everybody knows why we're getting strapped. It's because this janky 13-year deal this guy made.
Does that end?
And he's not with them anymore, is he?
That GM, no.
This GM?
No, it's a new one.
No. Okay.
No, it's a new one.
Yeah, no,
gotcha.
he left a while ago.
I think it was after that 2019 year where it just everything blew up. I think they cleaned house then.
Is Parise? Is he still in the league or is he done?
Devils?
He was
No,
with
that's where he was before.
he was with the Islanders for a while. I don't know.
Huh. I don't know. But so next week, guys, we what are we thinking here? We want to do the next 2 chapters. Does that sound good? The
was it basketball and
yeah, Court Jesters and Diamond in the Rough. That sounds. I bet you baseball.
It's the Wolves and Twins.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
And then
and probably the Lakers too, and the Muskies.
True.
Okay, let's do it.
So
professional basketball and baseball.
Yep, the two sports that are in full swing right now.
Yeah.
So
look at that.
Alrighty, well, and then I guess we'll just kick it over to you, Grant, the man that's got to go back to work tomorrow. Loser.
You're damn right he does.
Let's see here. He, yeah, no, it says he still plays for the Islanders.
Really? Okay.
But, anyways, go, Grant. The floor is yours. What is your curveball of the week?
So, I mentioned earlier in the podcast, it was Alex's birthday this last weekend. We went out, bar hopping and had a good time. And it got me thinking, all the bars you guys have been to in your life, which is your favorite one, or which one do you have the best memories at?
I mean, I don't know if I remember it.
The best memories I don't remember?
No, sorry. What's your favorite of all the bars you've been to in your life, what's your favorite one to go to have a good time?
Brothers, Iowa City. It's not even close. There's not a close second.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if there is a second, it's just Brothers.
Well, it might be just.
I would probably say that, but I don't remember being there.
It would probably have to be downtown Cowboy Jack's for Ethan if there's a second place.
Oh, that bathroom's all mine.
Yes. Well, that bathroom belongs to plenty of people.
Actually, that mop bucket belongs to me.
In the janitor's closet.
Oh, what a night.
Oh, man. Favorite bar. Whoof. That is... I've been to so many of them. If I had to pick... And I'm going to Fargo this weekend, too, so I gotta...
Too bad the Pickled Pear closed.
Yeah, that one closed. Scotty doesn't know. That was always the best one to end the night, is singing Scotty Doesn't Know one down there.
Dry hand jobs on the dance floor there. Incredible.
Oh.
Yes.
Favorite bar. Ooh. You know what? I'll go. And this is now I'm not sure if I would like going there anymore, but I would have to go with the bodega in Deadwood. Big dance floor, you can barely move at all.
Okay.
I was never there. Don't remember. It doesn't count. So
we saw some guy getting dragged out by security, and then it just goes black from there.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. So somebody took my card and got like $60 worth of Yag bombs.
Sorry, that actually was me.
Yeah. So
Dylan, I will tell you this finally to this day. You gave me your card and you said, "Hey, be a friend and get six to 8 Yag bombs." I could have said no, but I knew it would be a good story, so I did a full send and got them.
And then you drank every single one.
Yeah, well, I think that if there's like 6 there, I think Dylan took 4 of them and I had the other 2, or it was like 4 and 3.
No, Jeff had 1.
Yeah, it was something like that.
Yeah.
So I could have said no, but I knew it would be a good story, so I just sent it.
Interesting. That is.
Somebody looking up next morning. What did I spend $80 on at the Garden of Eden?
And I'm sitting here on a blow-up mattress in Ethan's studio apartment on the kitchen floor thinking, "Oh, that was me."
Oh, that was terrible.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I'm surprised all 3 of us fit in there somehow.
It was hot.
Yeah, we did.
It was hot.
It was.
Blast the AC.
But yeah, so the bodega down in Deadwood is my favorite that I've been in. And then so Grant, now let's hear yours.
We're gonna go to a spot in Uptown, and it's now closed, but I'd probably it's just kind of a dingy place, but stuff always happened there, Ethan. I'd have to go Stella's, the fish bar.
Yeah, I was gonna tell you. I knew you were gonna go Stella's.
I had to go
Yep.
Stella's just because
Fantastic.
it's fantastic. You end the night there. For some reason, it's an open fish bar. They had an awesome
weird as fuck.
It had an awesome rooftop with the lights on there. The second bar upstairs. That's when
bathrooms in the basement where you have to risk your life to go to the bathroom when you're hammered.
Yes. The winding stairs to go upstairs. You feel like you're gonna fall on your way down. There's just drinks everywhere and vomit on the floor.
Oh yeah.
You know, they had the dance room or you know, their version of a club in the back room there. And then that's where this is kind of funny now. That's where Alec and Halim would always get in a fight because he'd want to leave at 1:15 to get a euro. She would want to stay. We'd lose Chavez. Morgan was a drunk mess who would start to cling on me.
That's where I thought I met my future wife.
Yes, that's right. That bar upstairs.
Yes.
Ethan got a couple tequila shots.
Have you heard this one, Dylan?
No, I have not.
Stella's, baby.
Do tell.
But she was standing in front of us in line, and we start talking to her. She buys me and Grant both drinks. She bought shots, and then she bought me a drink. Puts her phone in my number, or puts her number in my phone. Excuse me. And
puts your phone in her number, huh?
Okay, no.
How much wine have you drank today, Ethan?
And I text her later that night when we get home. It's a landline. It's not an actual phone.
So she either gave him the wrong number, or she was so hammered she messed the number up.
We'll never know which one.
But yeah, something about Stella's, man. That's the three levels in that place. It's in Uptown.
It was great.
It's an absolute disaster to get home because you're on those one ways going into Minneapolis, and you have to actually go around. But if you try to go to Uptown Tavern, you can't do it. And then I remember one night, I think it was me, Ethan, and Chavez. We tried to go through the McDonald's drive-thru on our feet, and they refused.
Bad.
refused to service
they
those.
Fucking hated us.
Oh, what the hell?
I lost my credit card one night at Stella's.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not good.
But I went back and I found it. The bar guy had it.
That's right.
Dropped it on the floor.
That's like the one reason why I try to not to use credit cards when I go to bars is because like if they take it, there was a 1,000% chance that I will leave it there.
That's why I never.
Yeah,
that's why I never keep
I
a tab
dropped it on
open.
the ground. Yeah. I dropped it. So it wasn't like a tab was open. I literally fell out of my pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Well, I suppose then. So that's going to wrap up episode 77 of the Three Guys Talking Ball podcast. We'll have the segments out of the show on YouTube on Friday. You can follow us there at 3GTB Podcast and the same name on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And then go like us on Facebook at the Three Guys Talking Ball podcast. But that, for now, that puts a bow on episode 77, and we'll talk to you next week.